Happy Sunday afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's Josh. Just going to do a little live stream of taking a look at a few things here pertaining to the main slate for FanDuel today on this beautiful Sunday. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. So, first things first, got to look at the Vegas situation here. And right off the bat, just like yesterday, one big number jumps off the page, and that is the Houston Astros taking on the Orioles in Baltimore at Camden Yards. And oh my, another 7-run implied total. As everyone recalls the bloodbath from last night, it was a 23-2 shellacking of the hapless Orioles, and it breaks my heart because I'm an Orioles fan. Been an Orioles fan, been one since I was just a wee little lad, and it brought back memories of 2007 when the Rangers, another Texas team, came to Camden Yards and put up a 30-3 assault of the Orioles back in their horrible garbage days. And as an Orioles fan, like I'm pretty excited about Mike Elias and the former Astros front office analytics team coming in and rebuilding this franchise from the ground up. Certainly is not anything like it was back in the dark ages when the Orioles were just trotting out has-beens and wannabe prospects and just really not doing anything to give optimism to fans. So a beatdown every couple days is expected from this current team, but I can stomach it considering the legitimate rebuild that they're engaging in. But anytime you lose 23-2, that's pretty demoralizing. And if you didn't stack the Astros last night, what were you thinking? Oh my gosh, I stacked them in every single lineup. Problem is that the other stacks I used just didn't pick the right guys. Had 2 shares of Jordan, had 2 shares of Bregman in my 3 lineups. Had a lineup with Adrian Hauser in it. That was pretty awesome. But the Rays didn't get the right guys to hit home runs. The Twins didn't pick the right guys. Had a couple barrels from Miguel Sano, but they didn't go over the fence. Didn't fall into play. And yeah, didn't get any Aquino shares either, so that sucked. So barely cashed in my 100-person contests. Modest return of $5 on a $12 wager. And yeah, I cashed, but when you put up 250 and you barely make a dent, it's a little telling that the entire field was on Houston. And the entire field, I don't know about the entire field, but you should be on Houston again today. As you can see here, they're implied for 7 runs. They opened at 6.7 and have increased by 3.3 runs up to 7. And anytime a team is implied for 6 runs, you really got to pay attention. Anytime they're implied for 7 runs and they're not at Coors, you really, really got to look and take a hard look as to whether or not you should be all in on them, regardless of ownership. 7 runs is huge. Using the MLB trends tool at Fantasy Labs, it's a fun thing to use to poke around and see what different contextual situations have meant in the past. And anytime a team is implied for over 7 runs, looking at average expected points, the average batter is expected for 10.8 FanDuel points. Average actual points, 13.6. So that's an increase of 2.8 points. So basically, 2.8 divided by 10.8 is a 25% increase. So you can expect in this situation the Astros to have a nice, 25% bump in their typical production as a baseline. I would probably, if I were a sports betting man, be hammering that over because I just don't see any way that the Orioles can just stop this team. Look at that money line. Minus 432. When's the last time you saw a money line that was minus 432? I can't remember the last time. That's insane. But not so fast, ladies and gentlemen. And I say this somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but not so fast. If we go back to the trends tool, first off, you can look at past results. Last night, the Astros were implied for 7.3 runs. And, Jordan was 76. Bregman and Altuve with 40 points plus. Correa and Gurriel with 30 points plus. Even Springer. Michael Brantley. Josh Reddick by a hair. These guys just, were in the double-digit range. So, very high likelihood that you're going to benefit from a full stack. The last time the Rockies were implied for 7+ runs, you had a few guys put up some nice numbers. The Dodgers were implied for 7 runs, 7.7 runs to be exact, and you had several guys in the double-digit range. Nothing like the Astros last night, but, some big crooked numbers. But hit the brakes. Hit the brakes. Last time the Red Sox were implied for over 7 runs, they were facing the Orioles, and look at that right here. Bunch of goose eggs. Brock Holt was 6 points. Jackie Bradley 3. Devers 6. Betts 9. And then everybody else was zeros. And what the heck was that? Well, don't forget, friends, that the last time the Red Sox were implied for over 7 runs, Mr. Asher Wojciechowski was on the mound, dealing, just striking everybody out, getting JD to hit the road with a nice slider right there, getting Benintendi with the slider low and inside, fastball right down the middle to get Moreland out of there. So, am I saying that Asher Wojciechowski is going to come out and do what he did last time against the Red Sox? Absolutely not. Is he going to do what he did to the Red Sox to the Astros? Absolutely not. Nice barrel there that just missed getting out of the yard. But I don't know, I'm not big on narratives, I'm not saying that, Wojciechowski just shut down the Red Sox last time they were implied for 7 runs, so he's going to do it to the Astros here. Not saying that, but my expectations for this one are a bit more held back, reserved. Wojciechowski is a far better pitcher than Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks, poor guy. If you watch him, he sweats more than anybody. And when you see a guy just pouring, dripping sweat, bad body language against lesser teams, that you got to just, look at that guy and say, I don't know. I don't know about him. The body language, the performance, the perspiration going against, the Toronto Blue Jays or the Chicago White Sox. Aaron Brooks, I don't know about you. I can't wait to see you face an elite team. And he faced an elite team last night, and boy, oh boy, he was sweating. Poor guy, decimated. So, Astros implied for 7 runs. Last time I refreshed, I don't know, it was at 7 runs. Let's see where it's at now. And then we'll get to the slate breakdown for today. Still at 7. Red Sox, however, are at 6.5. Yankees at 6.1. But we're seeing some reverse line movement with the Red Sox, dropping an implied total and becoming less of a favorite. Money line moving from 156, minus 156 to minus 137. So they're dropping, but the money's coming in on the Red Sox, or the money's coming in on the Angels. So the sharps, the bettors, are taking the Angels in this one, but the public is looking at the Red Sox as if they are a can't miss today. 6.5 runs, nothing to be too ashamed of at all, but maybe be a little reserved on the Boston bats today. A little bit. And then the Yankees, another powerhouse team, moving in the right direction. Minus 165 to minus 175. Gained a tenth of a run. So if I were to rank these 3 teams, I would say Houston, Yankees, Boston. Houston, Yankees, Boston. There you go. Then if we flip it around, oh, poor Orioles. Poor Orioles. They've dropped to a 3.2 run total, and I frankly would be taking the under here. Not only is Justin Verlander on the mound, but the Astros bullpen is elite. So I'm definitely, looking at this game as another bloodbath. Perhaps more of a 10-2 bloodbath, not a 23-2 bloodbath, but I definitely see the Astros putting up some crooked numbers in multiple innings today. And then the Nationals, the Marlins, and the Pirates are the 3 other teams implied for less than 4 runs. So let's jump into the model here and take a look and see what we've got here. We're sorted by implied runs. Last time I updated my implied runs, the Astros were at 7.2. So they've leveled off a little bit. I think I might have put this up, like 30 minutes ago. But everything in here, all the lineups in here are confirmed. So no question marks about whether or not something I've got here, isn't reflecting the confirmed lineup. They're all confirmed lineups. So what we've got here, I'll break it down as quickly as possible. This is a very simple model, hence the name Simple Model. First thing here is WOBA and xWOBA for the batters over the last 15 days and the percentile rank. So the top WOBA over the last 15 days is none other than Rio Ruiz. I forgot to put in plate appearances in this model, but he hit a home run last night, and he is a replacement level player at best. So next time I use this sheet, I'm going to put in um, plate appearances, because you would see that he's only got like 3 plate appearances or 2 plate appearances over the last 2 weeks, and I think they all came last night. So got to take that one with a grain of salt. But even without plate appearances there, the thinking DFSer would know, oh, Rio Ruiz, this is an outlier. It's probably in a small sample size. Um, so this is percentile rank by WOBA, percentile rank by xWOBA, and then the luck column is simply xWOBA minus WOBA. And one quick way to determine how lucky or unlucky, or right on expectations a batter's been, is subtracting WOBA from xWOBA, because xWOBA accounts for factors like exit velocity, launch angle, and it gives you a more true indication of how a batter has been hitting. So we can look at it as if it's like a luck indicator when we subtract WOBA from xWOBA. So that's the batters. I'll get to column D in just a moment. Pitchers, I expanded the sample to 30 days. So we're looking at 4, 5, 6 starts. And if we sort by WOBA, Jordan Lyles has the highest percentile rank. And remember, this model, all my models are through the lens of the batter. So Jordan Lyles has been, according to WOBA, the worst pitcher on the slate over the last 30 days. 86 percentile WOBA allowed, highest. So only 14% of pitchers in my data sample have a worse WOBA than him over the last month. And then xWOBA is Trent Thornton leading the way, tied with Hector Noesi, and Andrew Cashner brings up right behind them with 83 percentile xWOBA allowed. Same deal if we sort by luck. Jacob Junis is trending in the wrong direction, or the right direction if we're looking for pitchers to target. Same with Chris Bassett and Mike Foltynewicz. And if we do ascending by luck, Mike Minor trending in the right direction or wrong direction if we're thinking about batters. So he is, according to this metric, supposed to be better than he's been pitching. Same with Jose Berrios and Jordan Lyles too. The difference between Lyles and Berrios, or Lyles and Minor, is that Lyles' xWOBA is still 73rd percentile, whereas Berrios is 15th percentile. So though both guys are slated to get better, Berrios is getting better to become what I essentially would say, with the yellow conditional formatting here, an outstanding pitcher. And Lyles is, I would put, barely average. The cutoffs here are blue would be 95th percentile and up, and red would be 5th percentile and below. And then green would be 80 and up, and yellow would be 20 and below. So basically, if you see red conditional formatting on these WOBA columns, that's just telling you that the batter is terrible or the pitcher is elite. Because if we sort by xWOBA, you can see Justin Verlander is red. So he's been elite according to WOBA, but he is even better according to xWOBA. So he should be getting even better. And he gets the Orioles today. And at one point, the implied total was 2.8 runs. So, I mean, Justin Verlander, there's a reason why he's priced at, I think, 12.5. He's in a really, really nice spot. So that's that. And then finally, we have something I've been wanting to add for a while here, and it's bullpen. And the bullpen is a huge portion of the equation, but oftentimes models and projections, um, analysis doesn't include the bullpen. And so I wanted to include the bullpen. And if we sort by xwOBA, we can see that the Indians and Astros both have had elite bullpens, whereas the Braves and Brewers have had piss poor, awful bullpens. So when we combine everything, we have a pretty simple but powerful tool to look at. And what I then did is I made an average column. And the average column is simply the average of all three xwOBAs. So if we sort by that, this tells us that Danny Santana, followed by Brian Anderson, and then a few other guys, have the best situation today. Danny Santana, I mean, barely out of the elite category. He's probably like 94.5 or something xwOBA percentile over the last 15 days. Plus Jordan Lyles, 73rd percentile xwOBA, plus the Brewers, 97th percentile xwOBA allowed over the last 15 days. And you've got a pretty nice spot for Danny Santana. He's been hitting the cover off the ball. He's even been getting kind of unlucky, so he's due for some positive regression. And Jordan Lyles, though due for some positive regression himself, he's still going to be regressing to a pretty modest xwOBA allowed percentile. And then the Brewers, I mean, they have a 90th percentile wOBA allowed as a bullpen over the last 2 weeks, and they should be even worse than they have been. So he's facing, at best, average pitcher as an awesome recent hitter and a horrific bullpen. The Rangers just came off I don't know if you would say embarrassing, but a very humbling outing against Adrian Hauser, who just shut them down. And you figure they'd like to come out and redeem themselves a bit, but this is a Texas lineup. If we look more closely at it and sort by batting order, that leaves a lot to be desired. Nobody is horrible and nobody is good as far as wOBA is concerned. Santana, Andrus, and Rougned Odor should all get better and jump into the very good xwOBA category. But, implied for 4.3 runs. What does this say? This is the live total, 4.3 still. And it's a risky stack. If I were to stack Texas, obviously you want to go with Santana, get Anderson there for the fact that he's hitting third. He's hitting better than he's been performing lately. And he's shortstop too, which is a nice benefit. And Odor, second base, also a nice benefit. And then, you could, throw like a cheap Kiner Falefa in there, a cheap DeShields in there. Whatever you do, don't put Jeff Mathis in, because Jeff Mathis is basically like if you took a bullpen catcher and put him on a major league roster, but he's like the best bullpen catcher of them all. The guy can't hit. He deserves to be 2K. Don't use him, please. I don't know if I would pay 3,800 for Shin-Soo Choo. I'm a little concerned about that, given his recent form. That said, you know, if you're gonna stack them, like you got to get your correlations in, and he certainly correlates with Santana, Anderson, Odor. So yeah, the Rangers, I don't know. It's a little makes me feel a little gross considering them, but they're in a pretty good spot, and that segues well into rate because all rate is an average of every average on the team. So if we take all the averages of the xwOBA percentile ranks for the hitters, average them together, and we'll get the team rating. And so the Rangers are tied with the Braves with a 76% team rating. And that kind of flies in the face of their 4.3 run total. But I'm not surprised that they have received a 4.3 implied runs total because they're the Rangers. They're not putting up runs, and they're not a team that you worry much about as an opposing pitcher, an opposing bullpen. The problem is the opposing pitcher and the opposing bullpen aren't good. So I don't know. I think the Rangers would be, for me, like kind of a mid-level consideration as a stack. I'm not really crazy about them, but if you're crazy, then go ahead and do it. One benefit too is that they're on the road, and that they'll get the guaranteed 27 outs. As you know, a road team always will bat 9 innings, no matter what. A home team may only bat 8 innings if they're winning. So with a tiebreaker between stacks or players, one of your tiebreakers could be whether the team is home or away. And if they're away, then go with the away guy. And speaking of away teams, the Braves. The Braves are leading the slate in rating, believe it or not. How are they beating the Astros, you say? I don't know. That's what I'm wondering too, but I guess we'll find out in just a minute. The Braves, if we put them in order, very top heavy. Acuna, Albies, and Freeman are all outstanding, as we all know. And they bat 1, 2, 3. Their WOBA and xwOBA jive with each other. So, I wouldn't say that Acuna or Albies are quote due to get worse. Dropping 5-8% is pretty modest and nothing that you should be super concerned about. I mean, Albies has been elite, and he would be dropping to an 86 percentile xwOBA, which, I mean, you take that all day. So these three guys are, if you're stacking the Braves, must-haves. And then Donaldson, holding strong. He's definitely going to hit the ball hard at all times. The problem with him is, that he can be a little inconsistent, a little streaky. So if you're going to stack them, you definitely want to consider him as your fourth guy. I know this is not much of a correlation play, but you could look down at Inciarte or Culberson. Camargo is pretty much a lock to get pinch hit for or double switched, so I would not touch him. I feel more comfortable with Culberson or Inciarte as being safe from a pinch hit situation. Flowers, too, most likely going to play the whole game, unless there's a really good opportunity to pinch hit McCann, facing like a righty or something late in the game in a tough spot. So that's the Braves there. They're taking on Hector Noesi, who has, for all accounts, been bad lately. And the Miami bullpen should also get worse, too, according to this metric. So the Braves are in a nice spot. No red flags anywhere. The problem with stacking the Braves, though, is that if you're going to stack them, everybody else who stacks them is also going to use Acuna, Albies, and Freeman, and probably Donaldson. So the leverage of stacking the Braves is pretty low. The good thing, though, is that on a large slate with teams like the Yankees, Red Sox, and Astros, they should drop, to fourth, fifth, sixth highest owned teams. So definitely considering the Braves. Let's bring back all of our teams here. And let's go ahead and scroll down the list in rating. And here's the Astros. The rating of 74% puts them right behind Atlanta and Texas. And that 7.2 runs implied total, 7-run implied total. I mean, you gotta love it. Implied for over 7 runs, 74% rating, according to the xwOBA model, whatever you want to call it, on the road. So they get the 9 at bats, the 27 outs. And there's more variety to pick from. You've got Jordan. Let's put it in order, actually, batting order. You got Springer, Altuve, Brantley. Definitely should be getting better according to this, but Brantley. Let's put it this way: you never use him as a one-off. You would use him in a stack, but never as a one-off. Bregman, Jordan, the GOAT, and Correa. I mean, you've got 5 guys all in that very good to elite xwOBA range. And then you've got even a cheap Aldemis Diaz, Robinson Chirinos. Both guys have power. Diaz has some speed. So those two, if you need to get one cheap option from the Astros in there, you could do it. If you're insane, you could do a Diaz, Chirinos, Reddick, and then somebody else stack, Springer, and bring it back around in the wraparound stack. But the Astros, I mean, what can you say? I mean, you got 5 elite bats in there, one very good one in Brantley, so that's 6. Diaz is fine. Chirinos is fine. Diaz has a little power speed. Chirinos has some power. So this is a terrifying matchup for Wojciechowski. And Wojciechowski, as you can see, should be getting worse. And he's just average. Again, he's not Aaron Brooks, but, he's definitely not someone that you worry about. And that Orioles bullpen, they've been the worst, according to wOBA, and among the worst, according to xwOBA. So everything lines up for the Astros. You got to get an Astros stack in there. If you don't, then you're doing it wrong. Would I say go all in? No, I wouldn't go all in. But I want to get some heavy exposure to them, regardless of ownership. And the ownership will certainly be high after what happened last night. Okay, moving down again. Miami, wow. So the Marlins, implied for, let's take a closer look. The Marlins are implied for 3.5 runs. 3.8. Oh, they're moving up. Interesting. So the Marlins are moving up. So not only, if we sort by movement, So Houston, Atlanta, and the Cardinals have moved the most. The Angels, Marlins, and Pirates have moved second most. The Marlins money line is holding strong. Um, and their implied runs are moving up. And the game over under the total is moving up. Um, and only 18% of bettors are taking the Marlins. So you're going to have some low ownership. And as we saw recently, when the Marlins uh, took on Dallas Keuchel and beat the dog shit out of him, we know that, any team can put up 10 runs. Every single team in baseball is capable of putting up 10 runs. So the situation, I mean, John Berti, he should regress negatively a bit, but 63% percentile xwOBA is really not that bad. So he's been hitting above his head. Isan Diaz, I don't know what the hell he's hitting second for. He hit a dinger off of DeGrom in his first major league hit, but I don't know, batting him second, maybe pinch hitting later in the game or something. Who knows? I mean, Brian Anderson has been elite. He has been an outstanding hitter over the last couple weeks. And I think he would be a really nice one-off if you need like a mid-range salary, infielder one-off, and a instrumental part of a stack. Garrett Cooper has not been hitting well, though he should be better, but he's not been hitting well at all. Very bad. Starlin Castro, criminally underpriced. And, I would say above average lately. So if I'm stacking, definitely going to start with Brian Anderson. Definitely going to follow it up with Starlin Castro. Berti probably got to get in there just because he's batting leadoff and he's a shortstop. So you can do like the 1-3-5 and then figure out your fourth correlation. Maybe 1-3-5-6 with Ramirez. That's an option. Garrett Cooper, with his recent form, very bad, but he's hitting better than he should be, or worse than he should be. So, maybe he has a little day here. And they're taking on Foltynewicz, who's also looking to get worse. And the Braves bullpen is the worst lately. So the Marlins, if you want to get the Astros full stack and, get a cheap team in a decent spot, you can't go wrong, I guess, with the Marlins. Okay. The Yankees, another solid option. The Reds as well. Let's just look at two particular guys, Gio Urshela and Aristides Aquino. Both of these guys are in awesome spots. Urshela, if you go on Baseball Savant and look at his launch angle and exit velocity, the guy is like a barrel machine, and he deserves every bit of production that he's been putting up lately. And the Yankees are just chock full of awesome options. Everybody's been hitting lately. And the crazy part is that Aaron Judge and Gleyber Torres, who's back from injury, are not, though they are due for some positive regression. So, the only guys due for negative regression are Mike Tauchman and Brett Gardner, both of whom are slated to regress negatively to above average levels. And, Gary Sanchez batting third, kind of slotted in there between a bunch of hot hitters. So the Yankees definitely in an awesome spot going against Trent Thornton. Not a good pitcher. Problem is that Blue Jays bullpen could cap some of that upside. They're slated again to get worse, but 41 percentile xWOBA is, above average slightly. So the Yankees, if they can get to Thornton early, that would be in their best interest because then they would chase him off and get to face the soft spot of the Blue Jays bullpen. But if he can make it through 5-6 innings, somehow, then we're talking about less time versus, poor middle relievers and, mop up guys. And then the Reds, Aquino, like, still 3,600. How can you not get this guy in your lineup against Jon Lester? He is just breaking records. 7 homers in his first 10 games is unreal. Definitely like Aquino. As a stack, what's that order looking like? Sort by order and then sort by rating. The Reds, Senzel leading off. Votto. So Votto's heating up. Suarez, he's a home run hitter. It's pure and simple. Aquino. So you got like some insane power with Suarez and Aquino. And then for whatever godforsaken reason, you have Peraza batting 5th. I don't know. But Phillip Ervin, he's another StatCast darling. It doesn't show it here because this is overall WOBA and xWOBA, not split specific. But the guy just destroys left-handed pitching. Phillip Ervin splits are just insane. Check this out. I don't know if you know this. Problem is he gets pinch hit for a lot, like late in games. So this year, he's batting .477 with a 1381 OPS against lefties. What the hell is that? That's insane. What did he do last year or for his career against lefties? So a 280 average, 785 OPS. What about last year? Maybe 2017 is diminishing it. Okay. Maybe it's not 2017. Maybe it's 2018 that diminishes it. Yeah. He figured something out against lefties this year. The guy just destroys them. So Phillip Ervin, as far as splits go, he just kills left-handed pitching. And Jon Lester is certainly a killable pitcher. Just ask Brian Tulloch. He loves him some Jon Lester. Let's flip the script here and look at some positions. Second base, if we sort by average. So the far right column here, again, that's the player, the batter's average of the opposing bullpen xWOBA, the opposing pitcher xWOBA, and their recent xWOBA. And then the rating here is the average of all the averages on the team. So Rougned Odor and Ozzie Albies lead the way. Both have outstanding situations today. But if we want to save some money here and we sort by salary ascending, we could see Starlin Castro pops. Peraza and Ronnie Rodriguez are both up there. Jacob Junis due for some serious negative regression. So, Min Sal for Rodriguez, Min Sal for Peraza, those are two one-off options. But I would probably just jump up 20 or 2K to Castro at 2,200, who's more of an established hitter with gap and home run power. Um, so if you need to pay down at second base, definitely thinking Castro, definitely thinking Diaz as part of that Houston stack or as part of just the Houston situation. Um, Odor is in a solid situation as well. So you got some nice options at second base spaced out here pretty well. At third base, let's go ahead and sort by average. Brian Anderson leads the way, followed by Bregman, Donaldson. Oh, and this is awesome. Gio Urshela is third base eligible now. That's good. Right on. So you got some expensive options up there. And if we sort by salary ascending, you'll notice there's a couple guys whose averages pop a little bit. Gordon Beckham, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Dawel Lugo. And that's really primarily because of the pitching matchup that they have today and really because of the poor bullpens. My concern with Kiner-Falefa somewhat is in the National League Park, him getting pinch hit for. But at 2,200, I mean, on the road, he's batting seventh. Like, that's pretty solid situation there for him. Not as much value at third base. Definitely thinking, Brian Anderson, I would drop for him. But other than that, I don't really see much of anything at all at third base that catches my eye down low. So I feel like the lowest I would go would be Brian Anderson. Shortstop. If we sort by average, we see that Elvis Andrus is the top dog. Talked about him earlier with Texas being tied with Atlanta for being top rated on the model. He's having a really good past 15 days stretch, and I think he's heating up here a bit in the hot weather summer months on the road against Milwaukee. So he gets the extra at bat potential, and I like Andrus. Reasonable price at 3,300. So I think he's a nice pivot off of Carlos Correa, who will most certainly be, if not the highest owned, then top two, maybe top three. If we do ascending salary, you got Charlie Culberson in a nice little spot here, really cheap. You are going to use him over Camargo if you're using an Atlanta stack or looking to pay down at shortstop. Do not use Camargo. And I'll probably eat my words, and Camargo will somehow get a couple hits and like an RBI or something. But Camargo sucks. Ahmed Rosario's been hitting really well this year, but Sanchez is kind of a tough match for him. He's more of a left-handed splits guy, so I'm a little concerned about Rosario. John Berti, solid, and he gets that Atlanta bullpen, and he's batting leadoff. So I would probably say, Culberson is the lowest I'd go. Berti is an option as well. Andrus I like. Obviously Correa And then, you can never count out Bo Bichette or Javi Baez. Tanaka sucks. He's just continuing to get worse. Um, he's got upside with strikeouts, but he's just not that good of a pitcher. And Bichette, has cracked the 4K mark, and he's a stud. So Bichette could be relatively low owned, as would Javi Baez. I think Javi Baez will be incredibly low owned going against Luis Castillo. That Reds bullpen is not good. Castillo, though, can go the distance as far as he can go. Um, so Baez might get a limited opportunity to face that bullpen, but he can go deep on anybody. He could steal a base on anybody. So Baez has, slate breaking upside at shortstop, but I'm feeling better about, say, Andrus is kind of in that sweet spot for me. Moving over to catcher first base. As always, you're going to have a lot more to pick from here. If we sort by salary, Kyle Farmer, interestingly, has been hitting, and he's got a pretty solid matchup. No red flags there with Lester and the Cubs bullpen. So I guess if you need a Min-Sal option, he's one. Doubt he would get pinch hit for, since he'd be catching. I think he's catching. Is he catching? I don't know if he's catching. Maybe he's playing. I don't know what the hell he's playing, because I'm pretty sure Tucker Barnhart's playing too. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? But yeah, there are some options here. Nick Dini. I've never heard of that guy. Jorge Alfaro, I like though. He's in a nice spot with the Marlins. I'm really liking the Marlins today. I'm feeling good about them. Who's our top-rated option? Danny Santana, as mentioned earlier, Freddie Freeman, both are in really nice spots. Brandon Dixon's been one of my favorite guys to use lately. I could see him going deep off Junis today. And if we sort by luck, Justin Smoke definitely is due for some positive regression, as is Garrett Cooper, as is CJ Cron. That's one guy that, I always like to get in my Minnesota lineups. But the upside, Savali's been pitching really well, as has the Cleveland bullpen. And then finally at outfield, let's go ahead and look down low and see who's cheap. I think a lot of people are going to use Chris Owings today. Min-Sal on Boston batting leadoff. I would not. I'm not going to touch him. 26 percentile WOBA, 28 percentile xWOBA. His are for the whole season. He hasn't put up any stats in the last 15 days. But for the full 2019 season, I mean, he's in the bottom quartile in WOBA and xWOBA. So, I mean, he could luck out into a couple of hits, but, that's about it. Though he is in a high potential situation, batting leadoff with a 6.5 run total. So, it's tough, it's a tough fade, but I'll fade him. Delino DeShields, Josh Reddick, I don't know. There's not a hell of a whole lot down here, in my opinion. J.D. Davis is a stud. Um, and that Nationals bullpen sucks. So Sanchez can go deep, but JD has been killing it, as has Lane Thomas. But Steven Brault's been pretty awesome, as has the Pirates bullpen. So, you know, he's definitely an option as a um, Min-Sal guy, but batting eighth, potential to get pinch hit for, a little concerned. I like Davis, though. That's a nice looking situation for him there. And if we flip it and look at the more expensive guys, lots of green and blue. I guess if we sort by total, those Astros. Astros bats, Yankees bats. So outfield, full of guys, and I like this range here. I like this like 5-run to 4.5-run range. You got some studly outfielders on Chicago. Again, they got Castillo, but that Reds bullpen has been bad. But then you got guys like, I don't know about Chad Pinder. But you got like the outfielders on Toronto, Grichuk, Hernandez, Derek Fisher, if he can not get hit in the face by the ball. Jorge Soler has been just utterly elite going against Daniel Norris, who's been pretty good, but he's beatable, lefty. I mean, again, Aquino, Acuna. So you got some nice spots here. Let's follow it up or finish it up here with pitching. Let's look again here if any of the implied runs have changed. Then I'm going to hit the road here. Let's get our main slate. So the Orioles are still bringing up the rear. 3.2 runs. Going against Verlander. That money line's dropped. Remember that money line? All right, what was it? Oh, never mind. It's dropped a little bit, but I think it was at like 440 or whatever it was, 430 something. But yeah, so, Nat's going against DeGrom, O's going against Verlander, Miami going against Foltynewicz. Yeah, that really stands out. I'm really liking Miami, like a lot. I think I'm 100% going to be getting a Miami stack in today. I think you should too. Come on, you can do it. Don't be scared. Stack the Marlins. Let's go. Come on. Are you with me? I know you're with me. And then the Pirates going against who? Who are the Pirates facing? I haven't even said a word about the Pirates. Is this another oversight? The Pirates? 4th lowest implied total going against Miles Mikolas. Miles Mikolas. He's been good. Should regress negatively a bit. However, he's regressing to a still very good top third ex-Woba. And that St. Louis bullpen is good. So not really into the Pirates. I guess the one thing they got going for them is, they got Starling Marte and Brian Reynolds batting 2 and 3. Josh Bell has been in a slump, but he's got elite power. But not much else to speak of. Colin Moran, I guess. And they're on the road, so they'll get the full at-bats. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's like a fade of... I'm not interested in Mikolas, and I'm not interested in the Pirates. So I'll let other people go there. But I'm definitely interested in the Marlins. Oh, am I interested in the Marlins? Jake Junis against Detroit. He's not that good, but neither is Detroit. Cubs going against Castillo. Cubs strike out a lot. They got some dangerous bats. Castillo really needs the offense to put up runs for him, because if he doesn't have that 2, 3, 4 run cushion, good luck getting that win, because that Reds bullpen is certainly going to give up a run or two in the 7th, 8th, 9th innings. So if we sort here by xwOBA, Verlander is unreal. Savale, I mentioned on Twitter, he's really cheap on DK, but he's like 8,500 on FanDuel. I don't know. I'm not really crazy about that. Patrick Sandoval going against the Red Sox. So check that out. The Red Sox implied total is tanking. 0.6 runs is extremely significant, as is the Brewers. Who's Texas got on the mound? Mike Minor, right. Mike Minor and the Rangers bullpen has been awesome. So I got to write this down. Some sleepy guys here. Mike Minor. And Aaron Savale. No, what am I talking about? Patrick Sandoval. What is Patrick Sandoval's salary? This could be the key right here, gentlemen, lady, gentleman, the one person probably watching. This is more of me thinking out loud for myself rather than doing this as a service to everybody. But if you get value out of this, then good for you. Thank you. I'm glad. I want to see how much Patrick Sandoval is, and if my fucking internet would load, that would be great. RotoGrinders projections loads very slowly, and it's annoying. All right. Maine. Who am I looking for? Patrick Sandoval. 6,900. What's he done lately? Wow. 1.2 SIERA. How many? So the question, though, is what is the sample size? I have to add it here. Do I not? I don't get it. I don't get that here. That's awesome. All right, fine. Games played. Okay, 1 start. Check out the minor league stats. I think this is the guy they got from Houston. Yes. So in the minor leagues this year, how many innings pitched? 80 innings pitched. Okay. 60 in AAA. So, okay. So, not really that worried about AAA because, he's probably in the PCL, and that's like playing beer league softball. So, it's not a true indicator. And AA tends to be a better indication of player performance, but you certainly don't want to write off AAA. 38% K rate in 20 innings pitched at AAA or AA. 22% in AAA. His BABIP was 401. in AAA too. The FIP was also a 5-run FIP. That just like worries me. Like that's really bad. That's really bad. And he's got a pretty high walk rate too. I feel like I got to get him in one lineup. Like there's just something. Is he a righty? Lefty. Oh boy, JD Martinez. Jesus. Okay, so note to self: take a look and see how Sandoval did. I don't know. I'm like afraid to use him. I'm not afraid to use Mike Minor. I'm afraid to use Patrick Sandoval though. That's very worrisome. Okay, so some guys I feel like you really got to get some shares of. Got to get a Mike Minor share. Obviously Verlander, if you can afford it with the Marlins, maybe we can. Um, that total for the Royals is dropping. So Daniel Norris, who's been pitching pretty well, he's got strikeout upside. Not interested in Junis. I don't care that the Tigers' totals dropped. I'm just not interested in him. Um, that total's holding strong for the Nationals, so that tells me that they could put up a couple runs on DeGrom, but DeGrom, I mean, very likely that he's going to strike out at least 8 guys today. So, if he can get to 10 strikeouts, you can deal with 2 or 3 earned runs. So there's some options there. And then as far as Aaron Civale goes against the Twins, the Twins are implied for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th most runs, holding strong at 5.2 runs. And what that is telling me is that the Twins are in a little bit of a precarious spot here. I mean, they don't have Nelson Cruz. I mean, their order, Kepler, Polanco, Sano, Rosario, Garver, Arias. Who's batting 7th? Cron. So they got their top lineup out here, minus obviously Cruz. But Aaron Civale. Oops, I'm looking up Aaron. I mean, I'm not going to look him up. He's expensive. He's 8,500, but he's a top prospect. The Indians just churn out pitching prospects like it's nobody's business. And his bullpen, if he can get through, get that quality start, 5, 6 innings, but ideally 6, and get the quality start. I mean, that Indians bullpen is in shutdown mode lately. So he's an interesting spot. I kind of like them. I kind of like Civale going against the Twins. I worry about on FanDuel with that salary at 85. I think he's cheaper on DK. All right. So I need to make my lineups. How much time do I have? 10 minutes. Piece of cake. All right, everybody. That's it. Good luck today. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.